did too!
Not.
Hi, I am Marco Who.
And I'm Aegon Who.
And before we begin today's review, I'd like to take a look at something that is usually looked at with a good amount of negativity, and that is the video game movie. Now, if you're asking yourself right now whether there actually are movies based off of video games, my response is, yes, little Timmy, there are. But the reason you haven't heard of them is because we don't talk about them. And the reason we don't talk about them is because they suck.
Well, not all of them suck. I mean, there's some pretty good ones like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Prince of Persia.
No! Don't you ever talk about the Prince of Persia movie in a positive manner while I am in the same room!
You do know we're going to have to review that movie in the future, right?
Oh, I know. And when that time comes, I will have fun talking crap about it, just like you did during The Last Airbender.
Okay, don't you ever talk about that piece of wasted money to me again!
And don't talk about that, the other royally not-so-good movie to me again.
Deal?
Deal! Alright, where was I? Yes, video game movies. I think the reason that most of these are unsuccessful is because, one, they don't stick to the original source material, that being either the makers of the movie don't take the source material seriously, or, it's just impossible to film. Also, the writing, directing, acting is pretty bad in most of these, and a lot of the times they look very under budget.
Again, except for
Last Airbender!
Okay, fine. The same can be said about their inverse. Video games based off of movies. They look bad, they're poorly written and conducted, they don't stick to the source material. As again, is except for...
If you say Prince of Persia movie one more time, I will personally duct tape you to a chair, lock all the doors, bar all the windows, remove any paper clips in your pocket so you can't lockpick your way out, and remove anything else hazardous in the room, and force you to watch The Last Airbender. Is that what you want?
Not necessarily, no, but I wasn't talking about Prince of Persia. I was talking about GoldenEye for the N64.
Oh. Well, okay then. Alright, continue.
Okay, fine. I'll jump straight to the point. Towards Assassin's Creed.
Yes, wouldn't you know it, the popular action-adventure open-world stealth games are actually going to be getting the Hollywood treatment, with Michael Fassbender starring as the lead role. Now, I'm actually excited for the Assassin's Creed movie because from what I heard, Ubisoft's film division called Hybrid is going to be making it and then distributing it through another company. That means if Ubisoft themselves is making the movie, we won't have to worry too much about things being wrong. But enough talk about the official movie that is in the works as we speak. Aegon and I are here to talk about the 20-minute CGI movie titled Assassin's Creed Embers. This short little flick was released a little while after Revelations came out. And the question is, was this movie good? Well, let's jump into the Animus to find out. This is our review of Assassin's Creed Embers.
This movie is a CGI movie that looks pretty good. It isn't great, at least not compared to the look of all the games, CGI trailers that come before it. It has more of a cel-shaded kind of look, similar to that of the Borderlands games and going to be the new Wind Waker HD game.
While the cel shading is kind of cool, I personally don't like it that much, at least not in this kind of tone. For me, it doesn't quite fit the realisticality that Assassin's Creed has. Okay, sure, Assassin's Creed 2 looked a bit more lighthearted and cartoony compared to the first game, but it still looked realistic enough to be considered mature. Embers, on the other hand, does not. It looks more to that Borderlands / Wind Waker art style. And that and the mature nature of the series made me feel that Embers didn't look finished in terms of, graphics of this movie. Again, this isn't bad and I don't hate it, I just don't prefer this look to a movie that's part of a series that is about a group of bloody murderers.
And now on to the audio, starting with the voice acting. We won't go into too much detail right now, we have a whole section for that. But the basic answer right now is that voice acting's good.
Right. Now, the only thing left to talk about in this category is the music. The music in Embers is pretty generic. I don't remember any of the tracks, but that isn't bad. I know one song in particular was very soothing to me in this movie, except I don't remember what it was called or how it went. And in order for a soundtrack to be great for me is if I can remember how the songs went. I can't remember anything here, though. So, a good look, plus, that's not great, plus good voice acting and generic music is going to give this category a thumb sideways. It's not bad, but it's not all that great either. The voice acting in this movie is pretty good. The voice of our main character, Ezio Auditore da Firenze, is done by Roger Craig Smith, who is the current voice of Sonic the Hedgehog, for your information. And he is just awesome as this guy. I mean, seriously, I would not want another person in the world playing Ezio other than good old Roger. Carlotta Martinari plays Sophia, who's Ezio's wife, and she's good. I mean, there's really not that much to say about her. And then there's the person is playing Xiao Yun, Ezio's student in this movie. She's, well, Chinese. That's all I will say about her. So the voice acting in this movie overall is good, but not great. It's not on par with, say, Metal Gear Solid or Uncharted, but it isn't terrible like Sonic 06.
Now let's look at the aspect of films that inspired the acting, which is the writing. The writing in Assassin's Creed Embers is very serious toned, and at times it might be a little confusing for some people, but for me it makes sense. There also isn't anything in the movie that is exceedingly strange.
Except for maybe the womanizer pervert guy who is comparing girls in Rome to Florence near the end of the movie.
Well, every boy is like that, Marco.
I'm not.
Oh yeah, you're apparently heartless. So, other than that, the writing is good, but not great.
So, with voice acting, that's good, and writing, that's good, we're gonna give this category the thumbs up. Warning, this review does contain spoilers of both this movie and Assassin's Creed Revelations. So, if you have neither seen this movie nor played Revelations, and spoilers bother you a lot, you should probably skip to the next section of the review. We'll put that time in the description. The story of Assassin's Creed Embers takes place years after the events of Revelations. And by that, I mean years after Ezio's story in Revelation, not Desmond's. Ezio is living his retired life in the countryside with his wife Sophia, whom he'd met in Revelations and was the love interest, and his kids, whose names I forgot. And one day Sophia and one of the kiddies go to visit one of her relatives, leaving Ezio behind because apparently he can't handle traveling too far at his old age.
All seems to be going well when all of a sudden, Ezio checks back at the house and sees a hooded figure with his daughter.
Did you guys call me?
Go away!
I just wanted to be loved.
You're sad. Oh, ow. Oh, God. Sorry, alright, where were we? Right.
Anyways, Ezio runs to the hooded figure not knowing that she's an assassin. But once he grabs her and sees the assassin's logo pendant that she's wearing, he figures it out and tells her to get out.
Turns out all this girl wanted was for the great Ezio Auditore to teach her how to help her people by training in the ways of the assassins. Ezio refuses and wants her to leave, but Sophia, who just randomly came back from her trip, allows her to stay for the night. The next day, Ezio finds her snooping in his office. Oh, by the way, the assassin's name is Xiao Yun. I thought you should probably know that. Ezio still wants her to leave, but she talks him into teaching her what he knows, and the two of them go to visit Florence.
In Florence, Ezio shows Xiao Yun the very spot that his father and his two brothers were wrongly executed in front of him in Assassin's Creed 2. He goes on to tell her about how an assassin's life is just pain and suffering inflicted on both others and that of oneself. After that, Xiao Yun kicks the life out of an attacker. She explains how she was a concubine freed from her master, and that because she was rescued. She is on the run from the Emperor. And this forces Ezio and Xiao Yun to run back to home, his house, and to tell Sophia and the kids to go hide. And then later that night, the Emperor's henchmen arrive to kill both of them.
However, both of them kill the Emperor's henchmen. Awesomely. So the next day comes, Sophia and the kids are back, and Xiao Yun prepares to go further on her journey. Not before Ezio gives her a package saying, "Only open it if you lose your way." Then she leaves. After that, Ezio and his family go to Florence to run errands, I guess. Ezio's having trouble breathing at this point, so he takes a rest and sits down at a bench. How convenient. Then a young man with a scar on his chin, just like Ezio, starts having a short conversation with him, with the retired assassin. The man leaves and, well, roll the clip, I can't say it! No! Ezio, why did you have to go? Why?
Calm down, Marco. Crying out loud. Ezio isn't even a real person. You're gonna be fine.
He was too a real person. Why did you think that Ubisoft went through the trouble of saying that this was based on real facts if he wasn't a real person?
You're crying over a fictional character. You're going to be fine. And stop shedding those crocodile tears anyways. You're not even really crying.
Okay, fine. Now let's examine our characters, starting with our main character, Ezio. Ezio in this story is very old and has heart troubles throughout the film. He's very protective about those he cares about, and because of this, he might come off as a bit grouchy at times. Because, you know, that and getting old kind of does that to you. Sophia is the basic, nice, loving wife. That isn't bad, but she isn't anything spectacular either. The kids in this movie aren't there long enough for me to talk about them, and Xiao Yun is, well, Chinese. I like her cause that she's fighting for, but other than that, her accent got really annoying after a while, and it sometimes made her sound like a toddler. But her personality's strong, so I guess that makes up for it, right? My overall opinion is that the story is fine. Ubisoft themselves made a point of saying that the whole purpose of this film was to pretty much have the fans fully understand the complete tale of Ezio Auditore da Ferruigna. I don't care. Good story, pretty basic characters, except for Ezio and Xiao Yun. We'll give this category the thumb up.
Yeah, for this category we give it 1 thumb up. This is the part of the review where we talk about minor things about the film. Let's start with the fight scenes of all things. The fight scenes of the movie are awesome, and, surprising enough, Ezio, for being an old man, can still move around like he's young. Sure, they're not as complex as the numerous fights in Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, but this is awesome because the fights in this movie are more realistic looking. Sure, it isn't completely realistic looking, like when Ezio jumps off the roof and stabs a guy in the face when he lands, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. The unrealisticality of these fights are cool, just like the ones in Advent Children.
You know, the unrealisticality of those fights is another reason why Square didn't name the series Final Fantasy for nothing.
True enough. Also, now we have the rewatch value. Rewatch value is a term Marco made up for the sake of our movie reviews. Basically, it is the factor of the movie that would make someone want to watch it again and again. This film, as good as it is, doesn't have that much of a rewatch value. Most of the characters are not memorable, there isn't a very exciting plot, and there aren't enough awesome fight scenes to keep you wanting more.
That's true, but I don't think it was meant to have that. It was pretty much just meant to wrap up Ezio's story without having to mail in another game. And in my opinion, it does that well. Now on to who would like this movie, which is the last thing we're going to talk about. I'm really sad to say this, but this movie is only for the fans. If you are a fan of Assassin's Creed, you're going to like this movie, or at least you're going to tolerate it. If you're not a fan, I strongly suggest you don't watch this. Or if you are, play the games first. Particularly Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and Assassin's Creed Revelations. And if you're a PS3 user, like myself, you can actually get the Ezio Trilogy Collection, which has all 3 of these games in one package. So that's kind of a bonus. And you don't need to play the first game to really understand what happens in these, because they do a recap at the beginning of AC2, so you're good. Oh, okay, I digress. But as for whether this category gets the thumb up, I really can't give it the full thumbs up because not everybody can watch this and understand it. But because everything else in this category is good, I'm going to give this a thumb sideways.
Okay, so now let's recap everything. For presentation, we gave it a thumb sideways. For acting, we gave it a thumbs up.
For story, we give it a thumbs up. And for miscellaneous, we give it a thumb sideways. Because 2 thumbs sideways equal 1 thumb up, we give Assassin's Creed Embers 3 thumbs up out of 4 thumbs up because we don't have a 5th thumb. It's a good movie for those who can watch it.
Okay, so now let's go and pick the next review.
Great, you got the cage?
Yep, I got the cage.
I hope to God it's not Prince of Persia.
Watch it be Prince of Persia.
Yeah, I know. You do know that you gotta get out.
I know.
Right?
I'm mixing it up a bit. Okay, we got I-29.
It's not Prince of Persia. Special behind the scenes for review, comedy, and dare for us.
Well, that's going to be a first that's in the review spot that's not a review. So, we're going to have a special next time we have in our review spot, and it'll be a 3-part series of behind the scenes of our next review that we're filming, of our next dare, or of a dare that we film, and of a comedy we film. So you get to see kind of like the editing process.
And like kind of discussions that we have while in the process.
Maybe some script writing.
Yeah.
Depends if we already have it written.
Yeah. All I can say is I'm glad it's not Prince of Persia. Thank the Lord. Well, anyway, we'll see you in that.
That 3-part series, so.
Yep.
Or just keep on,
watching, subscribing, helping us out, giving us chicken, that stuff.
Yeah, especially the chicken, because,
Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget to send fan mail. Jeez, we need fan mail.
Yeah. We're desperate, John.
Okay, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Okay, bye.